Hey everybody, stick around to the end of the video for some additional important information. Everybody remembers the first steam locomotive they've ever bought. In this video, I'm going to show you my first steam locomotive. This one right here. Coming up next. Well folks, my first purchased steam locomotive. Road number 1501, it is the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western 484. This is product number 6-18003. It also has with it the separate sail caboose, and I'll put that product number in the description as well. Now I purchased this at Bill and Walt's in western Pennsylvania in the White Oak area. This cost me about $700 in 1990, and for me at that time that was a pretty good bit of money. But I wanted it for around the Christmas tree, and that's where it ran for probably 4 or 5 years until I was pushed downstairs into the basement because I made the layout too big. This was cataloged in the spring of 1988 and also appeared in the main catalog on the front cover. It's equipped with the mighty sound of steam, basically a burst of white noise for every chuff. It has a pull-more motor. It has a magna traction, has an electronic whistle, and it also has puffing smoke, like I said, and it also had a steam chest effect. Basically, a couple tubes that drop down near the cylinders to push out some smoke. It does have a tether, which connected it to the tender. The tender has an on-off switch for the mighty sound of steam. It also has a volume control. Many of the earlier models of these had a double-faced tape for the electronic board in the tender. This one does not. It has a little plastic mounting bracket, so it is safe and secured in that, so no fear of shorting out. But if you have an earlier model with the sound of steam, you may want to open it up and check and make sure if it is taped, that tape is in good shape, and if not, replace it. It is a beautiful locomotive for its time. Granted, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that we've come accustomed to, but still beautiful. Has some nice white walls on the drives. It has some great cast in detail, and overall, again, being my first locomotive, it's right up there as one of my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a closer look at this locomotive. Has a really nice white stripe down the running boards, and as I said earlier, it does have a nice white wall around the drive wheels. Again, the road number is 1501. And here's the small tether. It's not overly obtrusive, but it is there, and that's to connect it between the steam locomotive and the tender, providing the chuff signal to go with the puff. Tender is all die-cast 6-wheel trucks. Some additional grab irons on there. It does have a molded-in coal load. Again, nothing opens up here, but there is a switch and there is a volume control underneath the tender, so you can mute that sound of steam. I imagine after running for a very long time, that probably does get a little old. I usually crack my volume and bring it up just to a low roar. And then finally, again, the separate sail caboose to go with the whole consist. Not a bad looking locomotive, I gotta say. Okay, everybody, I'm over here at the ZWL, and in my opinion, there's only one way to run a conventional locomotive, and that's with the transformer. Let's move it out. Not a bad run session for a locomotive that's over 43 years old. A lot of concern about the electronics in the tender. Be honest with you, I don't think there's anything in there that you couldn't replace. The E-unit is 100% mechanical, and being my first purchased locomotive, it holds a special place in my collection. It has run around the Christmas tree in my first house, into the semi-permanent basement layout in my first house, into the permanent basement layout in my first house, and layouts from here on out. I don't run it often, but it usually comes out once a year, and when it comes out, so do the memories. Although it doesn't have all the modern electronics, it still holds up pretty well. And being my first steam locomotive, it's a cherished part of my collection and won't be going anywhere. So, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, punch the like button. If you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? We love to have you, and it helps out the channel. And please, comment. I read every one of them, and I try to answer every one of them. I'd love to know what you like, what you dislike, or just general comments on the video. So until next time, happy railroading. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking with me to the second ending of this video. First of all, I wanted to apologize for the audio quality of this video. I seem to be having problems with my iPhone. Don't know what the problem is, but we're working on it. Second off, I forgot to mention, when these engines were delivered, they had the wrong bearings in the bearings and bushings in the motor. And what this caused was very hard startups, a lot of growling, and just overall poor performance. But thanks to Jim Barrett in O-Gauge Railroading Run 166, I believe it came out in June 1999, and the help of folks on the OGR forum, I was able to put the correct bearings in, and now it runs much smoother. Still starts up as a conventional engine, so it, you know, kind of jackrabbits a little bit, but overall the performance is much better, much quieter, and just a better runner altogether. So I wanted to make sure I got that in this video before we ended it. Thanks for sticking around with me, and until next time, again, for the second time, happy railroading.